Earlier videos, we learned how to use context property to create a CPP file and use the properties in QML files, right? So in this video, I'll be showing you how to use register type to do the same thing and all its variants, singleton and uncreatable, right? All those things, right? So, and in later videos, we'll be learning how to use QML element, a simple macro to do this task very easily, which is also suggested, right? So for now, let's learn how to use register type to do that, to expose CPP files to QML. And let's get started. And this is a basic application. We'll be creating a text component and the text value will be fetched from the backend. So first of all, let's create a backend. Right click here, add new and C++ class. And I'll be calling this class backend class. You can call it anything, right? So make sure the base class is inherited from QObject and these two macros are set. Now next and finish and go to build, run cmake if by default these two classes are not loaded here, right? Yeah, now the classes are added here, right? So first of all, let's create a method which we'll be calling from CPP. So add Q invocable so that C++ QML, so the QML files can call this method. So add Q invocable. So any QML file will be able to call this method, right? It will return an integer and the name will be get num. And this will basically return a number, right? So to display in the QML. So I'll say return and you can just return anything, right? For now, let's go with 42. Nothing fancy, right? Now we have to register this, right? So that it can be used in any QML file. So how to register it? Uh, so we learned how to use context property here, right, to register it. Similarly, we have to do something similar, right? So for that, let's go to backend class header file and add a static method, static void, and we'll call it init QML. Instead of init QML, let's call it register class, right? So this method will be called from the main method. From the main CPP file, we will be calling this method and it will register this for future use in QML files, right? So add definition. Don't get confused, like it's very easy, like just stay along with me. Also, you have to include the header file QML engine, QQML engine, right? Now, yeah. Anyway, let's click here and we have to call the method QML register type, this one, not this one, just QML register type, and the the type of this will be this class, backend class. Don't get confused with this syntax, is very easy. You are registering this class, right? And it will take four parameters. The first parameter will be how we will be importing it. Like we use include backend class dot and something, right? So similarly, we'll be importing something, right? So I'll show you. Let's say your company name is Reddit. So we'll say com.reddit. So this is a naming convention. Whatever your website is, just reverse that and use it as a header. So it's unique. Then the major version, then the minor version, and then how will you access this class, right? So I will access it using backend class, and that's it. So don't get confused. I'll show you what this basically means, right? Let me go to the whiteboard. Yeah, you know that we include header files, right? Okay, this color is very bad. We use header files, right? We say hash include IO stream, right? And then we use some methods of IOStream, right? So fget or fput is something like, so, or cout cin something like, or we include math.h. We use hash include math.h, right? And we use methods of math class like pi, right? Or int min, int max, something, right? So basically, whatever we are doing here, we are including, right? This is nothing but our com.reddit. So this is how we will be including this file in QML. So basically, we'll be saying, just let me copy this one. If you want to access the method getNum of backend class, we'll say import com.edit in quotes, right? That's it. And don't worry about this one, it will find it. And also give it the version number. And this is 1.0 because we registered it as major version 1, minor version 0. So it's 1.0, right? So, and we can use the methods using this backend class. So let's do that. In the window, create a component backend class and give it an ID of, let's say, my backend. And then after this, user text anchors.centered in parent and font size, let's say 15. And the text is nothing but our backend's get num method, right? Now, you're getting a warning. Don't worry, after the building, it will be successful. So we are registered it. Now we have to call this method, right? To actually register this, we have to call this method. From where? From the main.cpp file. So for that, first include the class backend helper, backend class, right? My bad. And we will be using it after engine. So we'll say backend class colon register class. And now let's run the application once. Let's run the application once. Com.edit no such directory. Let's see what's the issue. Okay, I should not have added in double quotes. My bad. Is the spelling correct? No, right. Let's do this. Yeah, now it will work correctly, right? So you can also use major version, minor version. But if you don't give Qt by default uses the latest import version, right? So let's run the application once. And as you can see, we got the number 42. And because we built it once, let's remove this. And now we'll see a suggestion, right? Get num. Now, if you add a new Q invocable method, right? Let's say Q invocable void print something, right? And refactor, add definition, and we just say Q info, hello world. And to use Q info, you know that we have to add the Q debug header file. But even without that, like it will work. Like, but it's a good practice to include the Q debug header file. But anyway, Qt adds it by default. So let's call that method. So after this, we'll add a button and we'll say anchors dot. Instead of this, let's give it an ID, my text, and this button will be below my text, right? So we'll say anchors dot top, my text dot bottom. I hope you remember this, right? And anchors dot top margin is 10. And on clicked, we'll say my backend dot print something. See, we are getting a suggestion. So let's run the application once and see if it works correctly. Okay, I don't see a button here. We have added Qt quick controls. Let me see. Okay, there is no text in the button. My button. The button has to have a text, right, to display it. We'll say click me. Also, let's set the horizontal center. Otherwise, it will be in the extreme left, right? Uh, okay. After this, I'll go through the what we have done again, right? So don't worry. Yeah, as you can see, hello world isn't printed, right? So What we have done is just like we create components in QML, right? Like text, button, rectangle, mouse area, something like that, switch. Similarly, we have created a backend class object, but this is a CPP file, and to register it so that we can use it in QML, we imported it. And how did we register it? We used this one, QML register type. This is the class, so we are registering this class, and the user will import it using com.reddit 1.0 or simply com.reddit, and they can create objects using this one. If we change this to, let's say, my backend, then we have to change here. We have to change this one. Now this will be my backend. Let's run the application once and see. And as you can see, it works correctly, right? So that's it. This is for QML register. There are also other variants of QML register type. So QML register singleton type and uncreatable. I'll be going through all of them in individual separate videos. So if you have any doubt, like contact me. And thank you for learning. Take care. Have a nice